Hey guys, it's Willie Adler from Lamb of God, and I want to remind you that my instructional guitar instructional video is now out, and I appreciate everybody that's already picked it up, and for those of you that haven't, there's a lot of cool stuff on there, and go check it out at willieadler.com, and you won't be disappointed, I promise. First guitar, I think my mom rented me an Aria Pro 2. From a local music store where we grew up, and that kind of it really got me into, you know, it was the metal shape and all that. I mean, it wasn't necessarily one of the best guitars, but later on, and I consider this actually my first guitar because it wasn't a rental. My dad bought me a BC Ridge Bitch NJ series from a pawn shop, and I still have the receipt, and I used it all the way up from when I was probably 11 until the beginnings of Lamb of God. I actually played it probably up until about 2000, 2001. So yeah, it served me real well, and I remember opening it for Christmas and just being super excited.
And when you started playing, maybe you've been playing for 2 or 3 years, what was that like, the guitar you had on the wall, the poster, that like dream guitar for you?
Dream guitar, well, since, you know, I had the BC Rich, that kind of, being that young, those kind of really sharp-edged metal shapes really intrigued me. So the one that I really wanted was a Mockingbird. And later on, I think my mom actually got me a Mockingbird for either my birthday or Christmas. And so I was really stoked. I never really, I didn't play it live because I think at that point we were sponsored by Framus. But it was one of those things that I kind of toyed around with it at the house, and I was just still stoked to have, even though, you know, I'd gotten way past that point of, you know, really wanting that guitar. She had remembered that I wanted it and got it for me, so that was really cool. My favorite guitar in the world right now is my new Warbird, and I know it sounds pompous to say that it's my guitar, but you know, we had been collaborating on this guitar for probably the past 2 years, and within this past tour, we just received the new model that's kind of the distressed version, which was my original vision of the guitar, and I just think it's so killer. It plays so well, and it's absolutely my favorite guitar right now. I think it came down to songwriting, and that didn't really even come about until like the past few years. Really learning to conceptualize riffs in a certain way that fit a song a lot better than just a utter just riff fest, just riff after riff after riff. Even though they're all great riffs, being able to learn how to play a song in its entirety and have it as a real song and a piece was really kind of that turning point that kind of clued me in that, you know, I'm actually doing something. I'll come up with maybe 2 or 3 riffs that I can tie together, and obviously with recording technology the way it is, it's become so easy to be able to record maybe 20 seconds of music and, you know, program drums to it, so it gives you kind of an idea of where you want to take the song next. And I think, in my mind, that helps the song in its entirety, because you have the opportunity to hear that 20 seconds of music and be able to sit back and listen to it numerous times until you get that flutter in your heart where you have that next idea and come up with that new riff to kind of go from there. I want to say I probably got into it maybe 7 years ago, and then didn't become necessarily extremely versed in it until probably about 3 to 4 years ago. It was just one of those things that I took and kind of, you know, I could definitely write these riffs and I could record them, but then to be able to add the drums to it and be able to really feel out the riffs with the drums and everything else was something that I really didn't grasp, I guess, until probably about 2 to 3 years ago, and I think it was on Wrath, the record prior to Resolution, that my demos really kind of took a a life of its own, and I was bringing in full complete songs to our rehearsal studio and saying, hey guys, this is my little baby or whatever. I mean, to a degree, absolutely. Mark and myself, Mark has a similar setup at home. I think he uses different software than I do. But, he'll create a bunch of demos and I'll create a bunch of demos. We'll bring them in, but we'll still have a good 6 months of pre-production where I don't think any of the songs that we demoed actually stay the way they were once we demoed them. They've all been deconstructed and everybody kind of puts their 2 cents in. And Josh Wilbur, who's done the past 2 records, has come down probably 6 months before we've actually gone into the studio and sat with us in the rehearsal studio and listened to these demos prior to what they become as the songs that go on the record, and kind of lent his ear to it. And not to say that he transformed them into what they are now, but kind of pushed us in a direction where it's like, this is great, do this together, that. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely made a huge difference, but it's not the be all end all of how we write. I use Cubase, probably because it was the first program I learned, and that was due to Jeff Waters from Annihilator, who hooked me up with, I think, my first copy of it. And over the phone, I know my phone bill was crazy because I was talking to him on the phone and like trying to learn this software. So I think over the months that I actually kind of fine-tuned and learned it, I know everybody says that they prefer this software over the other. The learning curve that was with that, and I'm sure it's with everything else, I'm going to stick with that because that's what I know, and I love it. I think it's great, and I've got to deal with Steinberg now that their tech support, and I just love the program, and I think all around Steinberg has produced a great product, and they're great with their customer service.